Hey kiddos, it's Mrs. Visconti here, and I'm bringing you our first digital lesson from home, and we are going to be looking into our new ELA unit, Unit 6. So go ahead and open up your booklet to page 2 and 3 of your Benchmark magazine, and let's look at that essential question. So this week's lesson is going to be focused around the question, what compels us to survive? So I'm going to be writing some notes on my sidebar here. You are going to be writing it into your booklet somewhere. Let's talk about what the word compels. Another way I can think of this word is to push us. So something that pushes us to do something. And let's talk about the word survive. So when I think of the word survive, I think of to live through something. To survive also means having to think of creative ways. Think of ways to outsmart something or someone. So if you want to survive, you have to think of creative ways to outsmart the issue at hand. And the connection I make is there was, and probably still is, I don't watch it, but there was a TV show called Survivor, and you wanted to be the last person standing. So that's what I remember from that TV show. So when I'm looking at these pictures, I am thinking of things that you have to survive, something you have to live through, something that makes you stronger in the end. Ooh, that's really good. So let's think of surviving something tough can make you stronger in the end. So that's something I want you to think about right now while we're going through these tough times, that this may be tough, but in the end, you will be stronger and better for it. It's going to give you character. So let's go ahead and flip to page 4 and 5. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit here. We're going to be reading an Aesop's Fable. If you've never read an Aesop's Fable before, I'm going to go, so you're writing here on your notes, and I'm going to open up my tab here, and I'm going to type that a fable, a story, or legend even, or let's stick with story, a story that has a message or moral to it. So we're going to think about, what is the story trying to tell us? What are we trying to learn about it? And obviously our unit's about survival. So we're going to be thinking about how the characters in these stories survive. So I want you to do a quick preview. I'm going to give you a few seconds. If you need to, you can pause the video and do this, but go ahead and just preview these 2 pages. Go ahead. All right. So if you're like me, you've heard of Aesop's fables before. Maybe you've even read one. I know in 4th grade, we did read some Aesop's fables. So let's go ahead and also, I'm going to highlight this picture here. I can tell from the picture that this is an old story, not in modern times. So we're going to be dealing with characters that come from the past. So I'm going to make a quick note. These characters are from the past. I also noticed that this is a man and a wild beast with a close relationship. That's interesting. They're standing pretty close together. It looks like they get along, which is unusual. So we're going to ask the question, can a predator be friendly with someone or something they normally would would eat? So those are excellent questions. Go ahead, if you need to, pause it really quick and write those down. Those are some great points that we can make about the picture that will help us pull us into the story. All right, if you need to, go ahead and rewind and pause the video where you need to. So let's do a quick read of our introduction. We know that when we see the italicized letters, we are looking at an introduction. So this is Androcles, an escaped slave, comes face to face with a man-eating lion 2 times in the story. How will he survive this life-threatening situation? Well, that's really quickly. I think it's important to note that he's an escaped slave. So he was somebody who did not have his own freedom. And this lion is a man-eating lion. I think that's pretty important to note. So I want you to go ahead and preview the text one quick time here before we start reading. Alrighty, and now we're ready to go ahead and begin our read. All right, here we go. Let's do our first read. Back in the days of the Roman Empire, a slave named Androcles escaped from his master and then fled into the deep, dark forest. While wandering about in the dense woods, he came upon a lion lying down and loudly moaning and groaning. At first, Androcles turned to flee, but finding that the lion did not pursue him, he turned back and went up to the beast. As he came near, the lion put out his paw, which was swollen and bleeding. Androcles found a huge thorn that had got into the paw, and that was causing the lion's pain. Androcles pulled out the thorn and then bound up the paw of the lion. The grateful cat rose and, not unlike a house pet, licked the hand of Androcles. Then the lion took Androcles to his cave. Every day he brought Androcles meat, which filled Androcles' stomach. But shortly afterward, both Androcles and the lion were captured and sent to the city to be part of the public spectacle. The slave was sentenced to be thrown to the lion in front of the emperor and all his court. Meanwhile, the poor lion had been kept without food for several days, so he was ravenous. And although he would devour, and all thought he would devour Androcles in a second. The time came, and Androcles was led into the middle of the arena. Soon the lion was let loose from his den and rushed, bounding and roaring towards his victim. But as soon as the lion came near to Androcles, he recognized his friend. The lion fawned upon him and licked his hands lovingly. The emperor, surprised at this, summoned Androcles to him. Androcles then told him about how he had helped the lion by removing the thorn. Whereupon the emperor pardoned and freed the brave slave and let the lion loose in his native forest. All right, so that was our first read. So now I'm going to pull out my pen tool here, and I'm going to change it to maybe a green color because it is St. Patrick's Day as we start this. And we're going to go through, and I think it's a good idea to put boxes around any words that we don't know and make any connections. So over here, this word ravenous might be a word you don't recognize. I think we have had it in a story before. But I think it's a good idea to go ahead and put it into a box. Let's look at the word summoned. These are words that we're going to want to go back into the text and examine a little closer. I'm going to put a connection symbol next to spectacle because I know that this was a word in a past unit when we were exploring root words, and spect meant to see, something to see. So that is definitely going to help us know what that word is. I don't think I need to put a box around the name Androcles, even though it is a unique name, one we don't hear often, but because it does have a capital letter that tells us that it's someone's name. So it's not a word that we need to understand, but it is a name that we just need to know. Let's go ahead and put a box around the word pursue. This might be also a word that we need to look into. Bounding might also be another word because we might know its other meaning when you bound something up or tie something up, but we may not know it in this manner. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let's pull out that pencil again, and we're going to use the green. Anything that is interesting or that stands out for you. I noticed that he, not unlike a house pet, he licked the hand of Androcles. Here, let's do that one again. My line was not so super straight there. So let's go ahead and get our pen up again. There you go. And let's do a better job there of underlining that. Licked the hand of Androcles. So he's like a house cat. So here is a lion acting like a house cat. And then in the end, we also have him coming over here and licking his friend's hands lovingly. So those two events are going to be important. There are two things that Androcles and the lion have in common. They are friends. They know each other. And it's something that they encounter both in the beginning of the story here and towards the end of the story here. So what I would like you to do tonight is go ahead and reread the story one more time, looking for the moral of this story and also looking to see if you can find the first, the middle, and the last points of the story to give us those key details of what the main idea or the moral of the story is. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.